Yeah, I gotta reach out to Professor McLeod. We gotta get him on again. He was interesting,
Mhm.
let me tell you.
Very much
I
so.
would definitely like to meet him and talk to him.
Oh, definitely.
They whisper about a dead man's secret while the living still can't speak. Flight logs and redacted papers, but it's justice we seek. Epstein preyed on girls and teens, but boys and women in trafficking's name. Every headline feeds the rumors while the trafficking continues. Everyone wants answers but can't handle what is true. The mighty protect their brothers while the victims bleed for you. Release the files, no more silence. Stop protecting those in power. They're trafficking our children every single day, every hour. Every secret needs your silence. Every predator counts on shame. Release the files, release the names. Silence is betrayal, say the name. Epstein's name lit up the nation. Finally, they're paying attention. But there are millions in the shadows that never get a mention. Not just islands in the elite. It's happening on every street while we argue about conspiracies. Children vanish in plain sight, you see. Everyone wants answers but won't look at what's around. The system shields the predators while innocence is drowned. Release the files, no more silence. Stop protecting those in power. They're trafficking our children every single day, every hour. Every secret needs your silence. Every predator counts on shame. Release the files, release the names. Silence is betrayal, say their name. We can't let this rest. We can't look away. Use this moment. Seize this day. Prevent the next one from falling prey. Protect the victims and make abusers pay. The files won't say them all, it's true. But awareness starts with you and me. See the signs, say the names, break the cycle and the games. Release the files, no more silence. Stop protecting those in power. They're trafficking our children. We won't waste another hour. Every secret needs your silence. Every trafficker counts on fear. Release the files, release the names. Make them know we're watching here. Boys and girls and women and men, we see you. We won't forget again. Silence is betrayal, so we scream until they listen.
Live on the air, Trial Junkies United presents Justice After Dark with your host, the
Hello, everybody. So glad to see we got Sleuthy Sweetheart, Southern Gal True Crime, my beautiful mods, Irish Luna Fairy, Fala, Billy. Let's see, Simi Sharp is here. Drunky is here. Offrin. Let me see. Drunky the Bear. I hope I'm not missing anybody, but thank you all for coming. This is going to be a great show tonight. And greetings to all the trial junkies, the truth seekers, and the justice warriors. Hey, Dr. Rachel, I'm Z, your
Drunky the
storyteller.
bear. We already said your name, didn't we?
Yeah, drunkie.
No.
I'm
Okay.
Z, your storyteller in the wilderness of injustice with my ride or die, Doc riding shotgun as we navigate the darkness where the predators hunt and the system fails. We're ready to shine a light on the forgotten stories society prefers to leave buried. So buckle up, you guys. The path ahead grows bumpy as we lead you through another section of this nightmare they call our justice system. But before we begin, I'm going to give a shout out, a special one to our own Racy, the alternate point of view from Tracy Lee Talks, who told me I needed to interview her friend Chong. Racy, you were absolutely right. That's the only time I will ever say those words. Thank you for connecting us. Um, Doc, are you ready?
I'm always ready.
I know you are. Tonight, you guys, we are honored, and I mean truly honored, to have a guest who has turned unspeakable trauma into unstoppable purpose. Chong Kim is an Asian American survivor of human trafficking and child sexual exploitation who has dedicated over 2 decades to advocacy, education, and empowering others to recognize and combat trafficking. Her harrowing experience began in 1994 when she was trafficked from Texas to Nevada. And this is her story. She's going to tell us about it. There was also a movie that was made regarding it called Eden in 2012, bringing her truth to audiences worldwide and shedding some light on the reality of domestic trafficking. And we know, of course, Hollywood's not going to tell us the whole story. But today, John works tirelessly as a speaker, consultant, and trainer for law enforcement agencies, educational institutions, organizations committed to ending human trafficking. So we're going to count on her experience and look into these subjects tonight because January is Trafficking Awareness Month. And today, January 11th, we were supposed to wear blue, which I did. So thank you for being here. Chong, thank you so much. It's an honor to have you.
Thank you so
Um,
much.
tell us, can you tell us a little bit about your story and before we get into our Epstein files?
Absolutely. So I was trafficked in the 90s before the terminology human trafficking ever came out. And during that time, I tried to escape multiple times. No one listened, no one believed me. And so the only way to get out was to rank up to become a madam. And when I became a madam, I basically, for those of you who don't know what a madam is, basically a female trafficker or a female pimp. And a lot of victims of human trafficking does turn into madam, and it's a trauma bond and a trauma response. Just like domestic violence, some women do not believe they're in a domestic violence relationship. They believe that the abuse is normal, especially if they grew up with domestic violence in their own home. So
Yeah.
it took me a long time to figure out that I was a victim. And when I moved out to um, Minnesota, that's when I learned the terminology of human trafficking. And but when I ranked up as a madam, I basically ran away. I was in Las Vegas at the time, and so and one of the things I want to share with people, I wasn't born here. I was actually born in South Korea. So I was naturalized here in the United States. I got to shake Ronald Reagan's hand in 1984 when he said, "Welcome to America. You're now American citizen." But 10 years later, when I was trafficked, my traffickers destroyed my documents, where immigration is the only office that could prove that I am a citizen.
Hmm.
But however, I was going through so many hurdles because even in the 90s, when I went to immigration and I said, I'm in an abusive relationship, my boyfriend destroyed my documents. Can you help me? And they told me I need to go back to Korea to get the birth certificate. Well, birth certificate was not available in Korea until the 80s or 90s. I was born in the 70s. And
Oh,
so, but
wow.
I didn't know that at the time. Um, so I became homeless. I slept in gas station bathrooms. I would find expensive restaurants. I would throw away food. I would dig in the dumpster and eat the leftovers that people didn't want. Um, and I also had different groups of people that helped me during the 90s. I had a lot of undocumented families that also helped me hide because I was afraid of my traffickers. My traffickers were filled with people with that were corrupted officials
Right.
and they were also tied with organized criminals like Albanian, Russian, Korean, Chinese, Japanese. But we never hear about those. We always hear about the Mexican cartels or the black pimps, you know, but we never talk about the other type of traffickers that are available. And so
Right.
in
Because
2000 and
I think
uh,
one thing, Chong, wouldn't you agree that many people don't realize it's a money-making business. So a lot of
yes,
people are involved.
yep,
It's,
absolutely,
you know,
absolutely. And it happens every single day. Every single day. That's
right.
why I said every 40 seconds a child goes missing. One in every fourth falls into human trafficking. So if you think every 40 seconds when that child is taken, then you count four more, then that child is trafficked. Then you count four more, that child is trafficked. So it's almost like every minute and a half a child is trafficked. And this is here in the United States. I got the stats and everything through the missing and exploited children. And I actually did the research because someone asked me, would you get to every 40 seconds? I actually got it from the FBI when I was doing undercover. But one of the things I wanted to share with people, um, I'm also disabled, but I'm recently diagnosed with dystonia, cervical dystonia. And my doctor said it has a lot to do with the abuse I endured while I was being trafficked. They talk about the NFL players and how they're having concussion. Well, we're not talking about victims that are being beaten. They also have concussions. They also have mental disorder and things like that. And we're not shining a light on that. And so it wasn't until 2011 I started to have dystonia. If you don't know what dystonia is, it's a neurological disorder. And so I had to take treatments. And every now and here's the crazy part, some people with dystonia will look like they're frowning all the time. Fortunately for me, I always smile even when I'm not smiling. That's what the dystonia does. It makes me smile, and people smile back. And my mom would be like, "Why are you smiling?" And I was like, "I'm not smiling. It's because it's a muscle disorder, you know."
Okay.
Mhm.
And but one of the things I want people to know is that I want to talk about trafficking that people don't want to talk about. We don't talk about disabled children that are being trafficked, especially in disability homes. They're being trafficked. Some of us are aware that CPS is also behind a lot of trafficking, but we don't talk about
Yes.
it as enough.
Mm.
I was in foster care, and my foster mom would keep my checks and the other kids' checks, but we never got new shoes. We never got new socks. It's almost like my shoes had pair of lips because every time I kept walking, kept flapping, you could see my
Mm.
toes.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, wow.
uh, we also don't talk enough about how trafficking also affects the same ethnic groups, Asian on Asian crime, Latino on Latino crime, Indigenous on Indigenous, you know. But we want to get mad when it's somebody else. It's kind of like that family dynamic. You have a brother or sister that likes to pick on you. But heaven forbid if someone else picks on that little brother or sister, then you get mad.
Right.
No, it's still abuse. Abuse is abuse, point
Mhm.
blank.
Right.
Mm.
And so, but what I wanted to definitely share when back in 2003, I didn't know what human trafficking was. I found out that um, I learned about human trafficking when I was a volunteer advocate in a court procedure for domestic violence. And I thought these men were throwing women out of their cars while they're driving. That's what I thought human trafficking was. And then they had three women from Washington, D.C. They were sharing, they brought a victim, and she was from Russia, and she was telling her story. And I remember a college girl raised her hand, and the three ladies, they were from Washington, D.C. They were part of the Violence Against Women's Act. They were known as the expert. So the young lady, she said, can it happen to American girls? And guess what all three of them said? No. And I was like, excuse me, but I disagree. And they looked at me and they said, who are you? What's your expertise? And I said, it happened to me. Aside from the fact that I even claimed myself as an American, they saw an Asian person. Guess what they did? They called immigration on me. Isn't that
Oh,
crazy? They
wow.
called immigration.
Wow.
So
Jeez.
immigration came. That was when I first learned that they were called ICE. I thought they were a rap group. They knocked on my door and they said, we're ICE. And I was like, Ice Tea, Ice Cube, Vanilla Ice. And they're like,
Yeah.
no, we're with Immigration Custom and Enforcement. I was scared. I was afraid I was going to get deported. I was like, crap, I talk too much. I'm going to get deported. And they said, we found out you're a victim of human trafficking. You qualify for a visa. Well, I thought they were talking about a Visa credit card. So I'm like, yes, I'm getting reparation. And so I opened the door and I said, where do I sign? And they looked at me and they're like, usually victims are not this forthcoming. So they brought me downtown. I had to explain to them that I was born in Korea. I was disabled. The Korean doctors wanted to kill me. And my uncle, who was American, he was a World War II veteran. He was the one that came to Korea to save me from the doctors killing me. And that's how we came to the United States.
Hmm.
So after I explained my whole spiel, that's when they're like, you're an American. And I'm like, yes, thank you. Can you help me get my papers? They're like, no, we don't do that. And I was like, you can give me a visa, but you won't give me my papers back. That doesn't make sense. So then they said, well, because America, and this is the part that got me angry, and this was in 2003. They said, unfortunately, American victims do not get reparation, do not get social services. And I said, okay, let me repeat what I comprehend of what you said. So let's take two 13-year-old girls. They're both Caucasian, blue eyes, blonde hair. But one is from Wales and the other one is from Amarillo, Texas. But they're both being beaten and assaulted by the same trafficker. What then? And they said, oh, that part's easy. The girl from Wales will get social services. We'll help her get the trafficking victims benefits, and all this stuff. While the other girl, she gets thrown into juvie, handcuffed, and charged as a child prostitute.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was so angry. And I said, do you know anything about trade, like imports, exports? And they're like, yeah. No, you don't. Because traffickers import foreign girls into the United States. They export American girls outside the United States.
Yeah.
And then now they have this new definition saying if you're held against your will, if you're not tattooed or branded, or if you were kidnapped, it's all sensationalized. I'm going to set the record straight because this is pissing me off. No, that is not sensationalized. Just because you have a lot of cases of girls being trafficked by street pimps does not ignore everybody else's experience. You don't
Yeah.
get to set the narrative of my own experience. I never had a pimp, never got branded, and it pisses me off when I get other advocates that says, "Oh, you weren't trafficked because you didn't get pimped." No, trafficking means force, fraud, and coercion. As long as
Yes.
anyone is using that to sell you, to trade you off to someone else, that still falls under human trafficking.
Mhm.
Yes.
And and so that's why I want to talk about that type of trafficking, because no one's talking about that. We're all talking about these pimps, these street level traffickers, but we're not talking about the elites like
Well,
Epstein.
and don't you think that's one of the things, Chong, is that Epstein, because of Epstein, which on my channel, I hate giving these creepers their own name, but we want people to remember this dude's name. So he has really brought this trafficking case has brought the focus to trafficking. It's sad it had to take this, but it's kind of like we talked earlier today about the Emily Pike case.
Mhm.
MMIP has been around for a long time, but when Emily Pike was taken and then deleted, all of a sudden the attention came back, but it's been there all along. And the same thing with trafficking. And that's why it is important to talk about the Epstein case, because if we don't, we have to realize it, at least what I see is like you were talking, it's the elites, it's the rich. They're protecting themselves.
Mhm.
And
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
because he's gone and Ghislaine Maxwell's in jail, that does not mean that that trafficking ring has stopped. Somebody
Nope.
has filled the space. The
Absolutely.
vacuum, somebody comes in and takes over because it was international.
Mhm. Absolutely. And one of the things that one of the things I want to bring into my film, and I'll talk about my film shortly.
Okay.
Everybody knows what human trafficking is. They know it's a bad thing, but there still lies a massive disconnect. How is
Yes.
it connected to me on a visceral level? How, can people think it's a far off place? I remember when Sounds of Freedom came out. It was in 2024 when it came
Okay.
out, or 2023, one of the years. But when it first came out, the thing that angered me personally is how many people went to boycott it, and how a lot of American survivors got angry and said that's not trafficking. You've never been to Colombia. Quit saying that's not trafficking. Just because it doesn't happen here. Yes, we don't have the white vans here. Yes, we don't have people just snatching up. Because here in America, because of the way our government system is, that they don't care about these throwaway kids, they're not going to pay attention. You know,
Right.
here, the vans that kidnaps us or lures us are the Bentleys, the Royal Royce, the BMWs,
Yeah.
the Lincoln. These are the vehicles you need to watch out for, because they're sparkly, they're brand name. Ooh, I want to go in
Yeah.
there, you know,
Yeah.
because people fell in love with the movie Pretty Woman. That was
Right.
Yep.
glamorized.
Yep.
Ooh, I should find that guy.
Everything's
That
all about
looks
the
safe.
bling, so
Exactly. And so when Sounds of Freedom, someone asked me, they said, "Are you mad that Sounds of Freedom came out?" No. Why would I get mad? One, it takes out the competition. Two, I'm doing my own film about our American girls, including Indigenous girls and boys. Two, they're talking about Columbia. They're talking about Tim Ballard, and what he did, and
Right.
that's their story, because I'll be honest, I'm getting sick of this cancel culture. Just because you don't like something, the only time I believe in canceling something, if you are making a film that looks more pornographic, to where
Right.
you are sexually exploiting children, that
Right.
deems like, whatever happened to Lolita? Why didn't anyone cancel that movie? That was so glamorized, of a young girl falling in love with a predator, and they made it sound so romantic. You know,
Right.
we need to start looking at certain films. If you're going to
Yeah.
boycott something, boycott the film. that's doing the exploitation,
Yeah.
not trying to educate people.
Mhm.
You know,
And I think that's one thing we have talked about before is like the white van is not the normal thing that happens here in the US. And now I'm not going to say it never ever happens. It, there are a few freaks out there, but it's not the normal. It's usually
no,
someone they know, a romantic interest, a family member, a friend, someone they met online. It happens to college girls,
yes,
smart girls going to college. It starts innocently by some dude, or it can happen. Male and females can be traffickers, and it starts simple by, "Hey, I owe my buddy some money. Could you could do this. It's not that big of a deal. You and I do it all the
yep,
time. What's the big deal?"
mhm,
Then, or we'll get some party favors if you do this. We'll have
yep,
a good time. So it's always something. At first, it can seem very innocent, and a lot of these girls and boys don't stop and think the position they're being put in because they aren't mentally mature. And
yep,
so, they get drug in and then they start thinking, I've just made bad choices, not I've been trafficked. And
yep.
if you ask them, you've been trafficked, they would probably tell you, no, I haven't.
No, exactly. Exactly. I didn't know that I was trafficked. And when I heard it, I was like, oh my gosh, that's trafficking. And and when you have been traumatized, also, I cannot express how often traffickers start the brainwashing even when they're grooming you. They'll start
Yeah.
saying things like, you know, you wouldn't do this to me. You know, I love you. You promised. Especially if you're the type of person that grew up that once you make a promise, you have to keep it. You know,
Yeah.
um, one of the other thing that I want to share with people, um, I had I came toe to toe with a federal agent because he said sex work and sex trafficking are one and the same. And I said, no, they're not. They are not the same. And let me explain. And that does not mean I support sex work. Don't get it twisted.
Yeah.
Because when I was a madam, it was easier for me to find college girls that came from trust fund. They were trust fund babies. Mom and dad was going to threaten to cut off their credit card, take away the Corvette. They could not imagine flipping burgers. To me, to them, that was beneath them. So when I put out the yellow pages, for those of you who are youngsters, we had yellow pages. We didn't have iPhones. We didn't have social media. We didn't have Google. We had encyclopedia. We had to go to the library to do our research, you know.
Right.
Mhm.
So back in the 90s, we had yellow pages, and there were so many escort services that were listed. But let me tell you this, there's only like two or three escort services, but they would run multiple ads under multiple names, but you still had the
Okay.
same girls running. And so when I had put out the advertisement looking for full service escort girls, mainly you did anything you were asked to do. And let me tell you, we had girls lining up. They knew what full service escort mean. They were showing up in bikinis. These were college age girls. They're like, look, for those of you that are Gen Xers or maybe millennials, older millennials, do you guys remember when there used to be a show called Girls Gone Wild?
Mhm.
Yep.
How many of those girls would flash? I'm not, and like I said, please do not get this twisted. I'm not saying that sex trafficking and sex work are separate because I support sex work. No, I don't. They're both harmful. They're both manipulative. They're both,
Yeah.
lead to a very big scam. But
Right.
the difference is one, you're being lied to because when I was told about escort service when I was trafficked, I didn't know what an escort service was. Nobody ever told me. I didn't know what it was. And I remember the madam said to me, you don't have to sleep with anyone. You're just going on dates. So I thought that's what I was doing. I thought I was going on dates until this one guy wanted to, have sex with me. And I said no. He threw me down on the ground and assaulted me.
Yeah.
And I called the madam. And then that's when she removed me from Texas to Nevada because I was talking too much. And the sad part was,
Yeah.
even in the 90s, I went to the police and told them that I got essayed. And he asked me how. When I mentioned escort service, he said, "Get out of here."
Yeah. Well, and I think too, a lot of the girls do end up that get trafficked in Nevada because Nevada is a state that allows prostitution.
Hmm.
So they send them there, but they're still controlled. And I think that's what everybody doesn't understand because no little girl growing up, if you ask her, what do you want to be when you grow up? Says, I want to be a prostitute. It's just, mm,
Actually, they do.
you know,
But let me explain.
okay.
When kids that actually say they do, that's a red flag. It means someone in their family is a predator. When
So
I
they've already,
was,
okay.
you see what I'm saying? Because
Yeah,
whenever
they've already
people
been
always
messed with.
say,
They've
yep,
already been
because
messed
when
with.
I was 5 years old, I wanted to be a porn star. That's not normal.
Yeah,
Because me and this other FBI agent, he argued with me and he said, just like what you said, Z, he said, no child would ever say, when I grow up, I want to be a porn
right.
star or I want to be in the sex industry. And I said, actually, you're wrong. They do, but it's a manipulation because they don't know.
Yeah,
If their mom is a stripper, guess what she's going to see? Mom's always glittery. She always brings up lots of money because kids see things. We are underestimating what kids comprehend. And even though they know what mom's doing, but they see the glamorous side, they don't see
right.
the dark side, And that's where we need to start having real conversation, instead
Yeah,
of sugarcoating and saying, no, kids don't want this. No, normal, healthy children will never want to be in the sex industry. Traumatized children believe they want to be in the sex industry, but it's a manipulation. So it's all about the wording and how we say it. You know,
okay. I get your
does that
point
make
that
Yep.
sense?
you oh,
Yep.
totally,
Well,
totally. And that does make a whole lot more sense. Um, that it's already someone that has been damaged to some extent. That
Yep.
they have seen things that they shouldn't see at a young
Hmm.
age. So to them, like you
Absolutely.
said, it's normal. Because I can
Hmm.
remember as a little girl, going into my mom's, dresser and seeing her false eyelashes, and she barely wore them just when her and dad would go out, but, and seeing her makeup and think, "Ooh, this is glamorous, this is pretty. What's this? What" you know? So I could see where
Exactly.
a child could think the glamour, they don't see their mother being hit, her money being taken, her being put in
Hmm.
positions she doesn't wanna be put in because she's trying to survive and also take care of her children.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I always tell people, if you want to give survivors their life back, don't put them in jobs. And I know some people have different opinions about this. Don't put them in minimum wage jobs because in their mind as a survivor, and even me, I even told people, if I have to work $4 an hour, this is back in the 90s.
Right,
Minimum wage in the 90s used to be $3, $4. Can you
right.
imagine that? So if I have to scrub toilets, flip burgers for $4 an hour, forget that. I'm going to go find a rich man who's going to be my sugar daddy for 1 hour of whatever ecstasy that he wants. Guess what? I just made $1,000. I can buy diapers for a hungry, for a
Yeah.
dirty baby. I can feed him formula and everything like that. And I explain this to other advocates. They keep saying, "Oh, well, we need to give survivors like $300, $400 a month." Are you kidding me? They're not going to stay. They'll be like, "Forget
Yeah.
this. I got a line of sugar daddies that's willing to, exploit me all over again, just so
Well,
I can
and
turn a
and
blind eye."
and I think that's true too, Chong, because I think it's a situation where a lot of women that have been trafficked may eventually turn to prostitution,
Mhm.
when they're away from their trafficker because it's the only way they know how to make a living, and to make a living
Absolutely.
that they survive with if they have children or, it's not like they really want to do it, but it's
Mm-mm.
just it's what they know.
It's what they
It
know, and also, let me tell you, when I applied for my current job, it took me a month and a half to finally get the job. Then you add 3 weeks on top of that to get my first paycheck. Women who need to feed their children immediately don't have that luxury, don't have that time. If they have an eviction notice and because they couldn't
yeah,
pay rent and they said, "Hey, you got 72 hours to come up with $1,500," guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to back to my Rolodex. I'm going to look in and see which sugar daddy's available to come and see me for a couple of nights so that way I can pay the eviction so me and my baby can have another month,
yeah,
another 30 days. And a lot of these jobs, they don't go by quickly on the application,
yeah.
and that's why I wanted to create this film. So let me dive into the film. Did you have any questions
Okay.
before I move on?
Anybody got any questions in the chat? Now's your chance to ask them. Um, come on, peoples. Now, I think one thing that too is that people don't think about is a lot of girls or boys that have been trafficked, they get hooked on substances and it's because that's how traffickers control them. It's not so
Mhm.
they have addiction, so they have to have money for addiction too. And if we're not
Yep.
taking these victims and helping them turn into survivors, because they are victims when they're first taken away. If we're
Hmm.
not giving them the tools to get clean and have some mental help, to deal with I was a trafficked victim, then and then to find a job that they can live on, then we're not helping them,
Nope. Nope. One of the
you
things
know?
one of the things I get so many calls from different people, both faith-based and secular, and they'll say, "Miss Kim, guess what? I'm going to open up a shelter." And I look at them and I smile and I say, "Who's this shelter for? Is it for dogs? Is it for cats?" And they're like, "No, it's for victims. So you're going to pack us in like sardines. You're going to tell the grant writers, yes, we're filling up the beds, but how many recidivism? How high
Right,
is the recidivism?" Because I would rather help 4 families than 1,000 families. Because at least with 4 families, it's smaller. And two, I can be able to hone in what their needs are. And I've been working with multiple families. I've been helping
right,
them, get into housing. I would put it under my LLC. I would actually pay 6 months of the rent. And then what I would actually do is help them apply for a trade school. And then if they, especially if they were trafficked, and I asked them, "Were you a madam?" A lot of the women don't like to admit that. They're like, "I had to." Well, guess what? You've got excellent business skills. Now we need to transfer them into a legitimate
right.
job.
Yeah,
And they're like, "Ah, I didn't know. You did bookkeeping for the pimp, right?" Well, guess what? Now you're a bookkeeper. You had to
yeah,
set appointments, right? Now you're an appointment setter. You see what I'm saying?
right,
Everything
Yep.
we did on the street is still transferable to a legitimate job, but they just
right,
need to train how to change that. And that's what I do. I help a lot of survivors train those mindset into something legitimate. That way, it also empowers them. It
right.
also helps them, you know. So, did
We
anyone pop up any questions?
Yes, Miss Racy herself has one. She says, What changes are being made to help? I see more and more missing people and children, and police still say they have to wait 24 hours, which we know is a lie. Um, you have to wait 24 hours. Every time a cop says that, I think you should be able to slap him. But so what changes are being made to help?
There's really not a lot. However, I want to emphasize to everyone, especially when we start voting on a local level, county level, and state level is the most important. Don't worry about the national level because on the national level, they're more worried about foreign policies, oil, and everything else. You want to know what's going on in your hometown? Start petitioning that missing person, especially with children, college age, vulnerable adults, should all be considered a criminal matter because right now
Yes.
finding a missing person is a civil issue. That's why the cops are not going to care. I'm not saying they don't care, but it's not going to be speedy. But if it
Right.
becomes a criminal issue, then they're going to be like, oh, this is now a criminal. Because especially when a child goes missing, the first 30 minutes is crucial. So when someone says we can't do anything until 24 hours, well, you just gave a free pass to the traffickers.
Yeah.
Well, and
You
then you
just
have
gave a free
then you have
pass.
the police officers that are saying 72 hours. So, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah, some of them will say it's a state by state, but if we can change the laws on a federal level for minor
And
children or college students, vulnerable adults should all
yeah.
be counted
yeah,
as a
Well,
criminal
actually, if you
report.
look at the laws, Chong, there aren't laws that say you have to wait. Those are just lazy cops that don't want to do their
yep,
job.
yep,
Mhm.
Um, I mean, that's
Yep.
basically what it is. And like we talked about earlier too, I think that they need to make the age of consent 18 across the entire country.
Yep.
I also think they need to get rid of Romeo and Juliet laws because I think that confuses people and
Yep.
allows younger predators because there are young teen boys or young teen girls that prey on others,
Mhm.
and they need to abolish those because
Yep.
minors can't consent.
Consent.
If some cop tells you, "Well, your daughter got in the car with him," I don't care. She can't
yeah,
consent if she is a minor child. It is up to the adult to act like a human being and not a creeper.
yeah.
Yep.
And I
Absolutely.
think
Bottom line is can that person enter into an illegal agreement? No.
Nope.
So
You still
what
have
would
to
make
bring
you think
parents
that?
in.
Yeah. What would make you think
yeah.
that they can do anything else legally? You know, that would entail some kind of commitment or you know, something contract being signed. What you know?
Well,
Exactly.
yeah, I thought it was interesting. I had one Kayla, which has been on our show. She was trafficked and her daughter was too, and she made the comment, and I love this. She goes, "My kid has to have permission to go on a field trip, but you're telling me she is of an age she can get in a car with an adult at 13? I don't think so."
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, that's just basic. I mean, it's
Yeah,
like I think some of these people don't know how to do math.
they don't. Well, the sad part is, do you know that certain parts of Maryland still allows child brides?
Yeah.
There are 11 states in the United States that allow child brides. That
Well,
needs to be abolished.
we did cover a case where a guy from Tennessee went down, got permission to marry a 16-year-old from her parents. He took her back to Tennessee was his mistake because Tennessee don't play. They
Mhm.
arrested his butt because when the neighbors and everybody started seeing him out and about with the 16-year-old trying to make out with her, the neighbors were like, "This ain't right." And that's
Mhm.
why it's so important if you see something, you say something. Because when
Yep.
things aren't right, don't expect someone else to do it, people.
Yep.
Call, call.
Absolutely.
Um, and
Absolutely.
I think that was another thing that I had mentioned to you too about Epstein's attorney, Dershowitz, who years ago I used to admire Alan Dershowitz because he was a good attorney. But when I found out, number one, that he actually chose to defend Epstein, and then he actually made the comment that the age of consent should be lowered to 16. There's something wrong with that man. There is something wrong
Yep.
with him
Yep.
because,
Absolutely. Y-
yeah, No adult man should be saying, "Hey, the age of consent should be 16 for a young girl." Mm-mm.
Mm.
Because they need to be going through your stuff. I want to see your computer. I want to see your phone. I want to see what's in your files.
Absolutely. And I'm glad that you said that because one of the things I have on my website called Think Like a Predator, and it's a course that parents have to pay for, but it's so vital because I'm giving you nuggets that even law enforcement doesn't have. I'm teaching you how to think like a predator so that way you can protect your kids. Here's the one
Yeah.
thing I want to share with people. How many of you have iPhones? So I want to show you this. When you go to your settings, okay, you go to your settings and then you go to your airdrop. Let me look for my settings first. Okay, I'm going to go to my airdrop. Okay, you will see bring devices together. If you notice, it's not green. Every time you update your phone on your iOS, you make sure this is turned off. Because what that means, Apple did this on purpose. So when someone else has an Apple that you don't know and they bump into you, they can take your pictures, they can take your private chats, everything, and put them onto their phone.
That's part of the
Those who have,
operating system.
yep.
Whoa.
No, if you have Android, don't think y'all got away with
Yeah,
this.
no. I'm sure there's something comparable.
No.
So when you go to your settings, you go to the magnifying glass, you type in nearby, and you make
Okay.
sure that's turned off.
Okay.
Mhm.
Y'all hear that now. Go into your settings, go to type in nearby, make sure that thing is off
Turned
because you don't
off.
want someone getting the pictures of your children,
Yep.
you know?
And here's another hacking. And it doesn't matter if you have iOS or you have Droid. Bluetooth is not safe. I would see people wearing their AirPods, going to Target, Best Buy, even shopping malls, talking. As long as your Bluetooth is on, everyone else can jump in and take your private photos, those sexy selfies that you put on OnlyFans that you don't want mom and dad to know. Well, guess what? It's now
Yeah.
open season for all the predators. And
Yeah.
then here's another thing, because I see parents do this a lot on social media. Quit posting your pictures of your kids. If
Yes.
you have your child's picture as your profile picture or as a cover photo, guess what? Predators are automatically onto your site. They don't have to request you for friends. You will never know that they're checking out your photo.
Yeah.
I showed one of my girlfriends. She said, but my page is private. So I went on her Facebook. I said, I need you to unfriend me so I can see the privacy. She said, okay. We had to wait 2 days so that way the meta can update. So I waited 2 days. I went back to her place. I showed on my phone. I said, this is you on social media, right? And I popped up her profile and it says private, but I still had access to some of her pictures. And she was like, okay, but at least my whole world isn't, I don't care. All I have to do is look at any pictures that is set for public, not private, and I can still hack in to your account. Because guess what? I can also go through your friends, be friends with them. So whenever you share, so when people share photos on their posts, whether it's Instagram, TikTok, it doesn't matter. When you share, even though you said it was set private, all I have to do is be friends with one of your friends, see that they share your
Yep.
post, and I can take a screenshot. Then I could take the algorithm of your child's face, turn it into deep fake, and start selling child porn.
Yeah.
People don't think about that.
Yeah.
These are
No.
things that are in my course. These are things I want parents to think about. And here's my biggest pet peeve, and I know I'm going to get to ruffle some feathers. Parents, you are not your children's best friend. You are the protector.
No. Yep.
Quit trying to be their best friend. Quit trying to give them what they want. I
Yeah.
get parents all the time. I want to give my children what I don't have. Give them knowledge. the knowledge you didn't have, the knowledge your parents didn't give you, whether you grew up in an abusive home or not, give them something that they can take for the rest of their lives. Because items, they come and go, trends come and go,
Yeah.
but knowledge is power.
Oh, I
And
agree. I totally agree with you on that. I think you're
so,
spot on.
so
I
until you
think,
stop pleasing your children, that's how you can start protecting them.
yeah.
Mhm.
And it's our job to protect our children. We can't think that the government's gonna do it, because you and I had a conversation about Andrew, Beswa oh, I cannot say that
But
poor man's name.
best, I know the former
Baswanti?
CEO guy,
He's the ex
but
yeah, CIA guy
yeah,
with the great hair,
yes,
with the fabulous
yes,
hair. He was an ex-CIA agent, and he was talking about the Epstein case, and he made a point that sent chills through me, and he said, "When a government agency comes across someone and, like, let's say Epstein, if they take him in, what they're going to do is turn that person, and when they turn someone like him, the trafficking continues to the children and the young girls and the young boys, because they wanna catch the bigger fish." See what I'm saying? So it's called compromat. It's a Russian term meaning compromising material for blackmail and political control, and that's how they get these people, and they allow them to continue in the trafficking of people, of children, because what they're doing is targeting a bigger fish. So
yep,
think about that,
Mhm.
and he also made the comment that if they're allowed to do like a honey trap on someone, everybody always thinks it's male and female. He said it's 60-40, 60% that it's same sex honey trap, because these type of people that they're getting, that some of them can be well-known political people, high up officials. They want to do something that is really against the grain. So you might be able to get a man coming onto a man or a woman coming onto a woman. So don't always
yep,
think it's male, female. And that's the same with trafficking. These traffickers don't care. They just want the money.
yep,
They don't care who they
and
send their victims with.
yep, and it's been going on for actually the past 10 years. The traffickers are now using kids to groom kids.
Yeah.
Because we don't think about, if you think about an adult roaming through an elementary school, all eyes are going to be on that person. But if you have a kid that doesn't belong to that school and they start hanging out and they're being trained by an adult trafficker to be the groomer, to get as many other kids. Hey, guess what? I'm having a slumber party. I'm giving out flyers. Who would have suspect?
Right.
You're thinking, oh, it's a kid. He's in second grade. He's handing out flyers. But the one thing I want parents to do when you see that kid, find, first verify if that kid actually goes to that school. If he does, talk to the parents, find out what's going on. And the other thing is, there are parents that are traffickers. There are parents
Yes.
that are also grooming their own kids to get their kids to invite more friends over to the house
Mhm.
so that way they can groom. And
Yeah.
I had a debate with a guy that was on a podcast, and he said, "I will never let my kids go out. I will never let my kids go and spend the night. I will never let my kids." And I told him, I said, "Predators are everywhere.
Yeah.
Just because you're keeping them home does not mean they're safe. You know, the safest thing to your child is knowledge. I cannot express that enough. Let
Yeah.
me tell you this. I was 6 years old. I never got to spend the night at anyone's home. All the house parties had to be at our house. But guess what? My mom was inundated in the kitchen trying to please and, be a host for our church guests. This was a church gathering. And my dad and his friends, they were in the next room playing poker, cigarettes, alcohol, while me and the kids, we were playing outside. There was an older girl. She was 8 or 9 years old. I was 6. We were playing hide and seek. Okay. She said, "Come into the shed with me." I said, "Okay." I followed her. And guess what? She took off my clothes and sexually assaulted me.
Yeah.
I thought something was wrong with me. Like, oh, am I a lesbian now? Because that kind of felt good. I didn't know. And I
Right.
never told anyone. And she would tell me, "Don't tell anyone. This is our secret." She was an older girl.
Right.
And I
And it
looked
could
up
be
to her.
something that was happening to her too, and
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
Mhm.
which doesn't excuse the behavior, you know,
No,
but
but I
but
still,
still, it
yeah,
makes you
it makes you
understand that.
ask. Yeah. And that's why whenever I hear parents say, "I'm not letting my kids go out, I'm not letting my kids do this, I'm
Yeah,
not," you can't hold them hostage either. That's why you have to
yeah,
train them. You have to,
right,
you know, give them the knowledge that they need. And if you don't know, you know, let me know. Send
yeah.
me, you can follow me on my Instagram. My Instagram is Chong Kim Official. And it'll have that blue little mark. That way you'll know it's me. On TikTok, it's I am Chong Kim.
She also
On
has a Linktree account, which
Yes,
lists all of her
everything.
stuff. Yeah.
Yep,
So and that's I am Chong Kim. That's a great resource to get all of her stuff at one time, you guys. Because these conversations are important. Yes, Jeffrey Epstein, it's brought it to light, but like Chong is telling us, it's everywhere. It's not just the Epstein case. And like she's talking about children. If you guys remember, I think it was last year we had the case either in Oregon or Washington State where the girl was having a slumber party with her little friends. They were all around 12 and he made them all milkshakes and he drugged them. Well, the one they were mango, which sorry, I would have drank it. I love mango, but
yeah,
she didn't like it and she didn't and she felt weird, and then he kept coming and checking on them, trying to see if they were asleep, and that little girl had the presence of mind to know something was wrong, and she called and got help. So that's what you have to instill in your child, is to trust their instincts. If something doesn't feel right, it's not.
yep,
Go ahead and get yourself out of there. And then when she told her parents, they were able to contact the other parents and got the rest of the kids out.
yep. And even if you do take your kids out somewhere, because like I said, you don't want to hold them hostage. When my
Right,
son was little, I made sure he got to bring friends over, but I also made sure they played in front of me. They weren't allowed to go play outside. I mean, they could play outside as long as I was outside and I could see
right.
them. But I also had the talk with my son. Did anyone touch you? Did anyone? And then here's the other thing. I actually had several parents that said they love this. I actually create questions on what to ask your children. So I had this friend of mine. He said, "My son talks to me all the time, so I don't have a problem. It's not so much that they're not talking, it's how they're communicating." So this
Yeah,
is what I tell parents. I say, quit asking them, "How's your day?" Start asking them these 3 questions: Who made you smile? Who made you laugh? And who made you cry or made you sad? Because then that turns into a turn of events. So let me give you an example. So my friend that said that he has a 6-year-old, he loves to talk. So I told him, start asking him that. He was like, okay. So he said one day he asked his son, instead of asking him, "How's your day?" He said, "Who made you smile today?" And he said he would see his 6-year-old son thinking, going, the teacher. "Oh, how did the teacher made you smile?" "Well, she made me laugh." "How did she make you laugh?" "She was tickling me." "Oh, where did she tickle you?" And the boy says, "Down here." Because kids cannot articulate what abuse looks
right.
like. They cannot articulate what boundaries look like. And that is our job. So when we ask them these questions, and I actually have a total of 9 questions, that does not mean I want you to go through all 9 questions all at once. Just pick 2 or 3 and just randomize it. But these are questions I created because I was sexually abused. No one asked me
Right.
this question. I was um, assaulted when I was 3 years old, all the way through 6 years old by the same perpetrator. Then, when I was 8 years old, I had a principal that also essayed me. Then, when I was, but it was ongoing. When I was 6, I was also assaulted by another man. I was also assaulted by a woman. I was shocked when I was assaulted by a woman. It
Yeah.
threw me off because when I was a little girl, I actually wanted to be a boy. But that didn't mean I wanted all the genitals and the anatomy. I thought boys were abused less when I was little. And that's why I didn't want to be abused. But one of the
Right.
things that got me is that because everyone ignored me, and one of my biggest pet peeve what adults say, "Are you sure?" I can't stand when an adult tells a child, "Are you sure?" Quit
Yeah.
telling them that, because that all automatically means you don't believe them,
Yeah.
Hmm,
you know? And
that's a
so
good
whenever
point.
I would hear people say, "Are you sure?" Guess what that told me? That told me it was my fault. That told me I wanted it. So that's when my mind started turning. I started looking at porn. I started getting addicted to sex, even at 5 years old. Even though I didn't know everything about sex. But what I did know is what the perpetrators taught me. So it
Yeah.
gives you a very conflicting feeling, and then I don't know if you've noticed this, especially girls who have been essayed at a young age, they end up becoming promiscuous. It does not mean
Yes.
they are bad. It means it's a trauma response
Yeah.
because
And a lot of them
someone
turn
earlier
to a
didn't tell them.
and some of them turn to addiction too because they're
Yep,
trying to block those
yep,
memories that they don't
yep,
understand.
yep.
And like you brought out, a lot of times with traffickers and predators, they will get you to bring others because they want you to commit a crime so that you will feel as guilty that you're part of
Hmm.
it. And that's what
Yep.
it's about. It's not that, I think sometimes people, when the girls from the Epstein case talked about how they would bring other girls to him, and I think some people were upset over that. And it's like, you don't understand. They have been conditioned, you know, and
Yep.
and they were hoping that maybe he would leave them alone if they brought other people, but he didn't
Absolutely.
because it was huge. It just kept growing. And I think that's what we have to remember with these creeps is that they're predators, and they will be anywhere. They will be in churches, anywhere your young people are online. Um,
Roblox, Fortnite,
yeah,
Yep.
Minecraft,
yep,
and now
Discord.
they're bringing up, yes, you know, these are things you need. Whenever I get parents that tell me, I ask my child, who are they? And my kid says, they are my friend. And I said, then what you ask them is, have we met them? Have we brought them to dinner? Have we invited them for dinner? That will change their trajectory and how they view that person,
Yeah,
you know. But as early as them being a young toddler, you teach them about boundaries. You
yes,
don't have to talk about sex. You could just say, no one's allowed to tickle you. No one's
right.
allowed. You're allowed to even tell mommy, mommy, stop. I don't want you to tickle me. And you have to honor that. That's how you will be able to teach them. And the other thing is, parents, quit forcing your kids to kiss grandma and grandpa, to kiss aunt and auntie, uncle and auntie. Quit making them sit on their lap. If the kids
Yeah,
don't want to hug and kiss anyone, don't force them, because guess what? You have
yeah.
stripped their boundary away.
Well, and I think people forget that not only we know animals have a good sense of people when something's fishy, but so do little kids. Somehow little kids sometimes can have an inkling and they don't want to be around someone. So honor it. Don't
Mhm.
don't
Yeah.
force it that, like you said, that they have to, hang out with aunt and uncle and sit on their lap. If the kids all of a sudden backing away, there's a reason. you
Yeah.
know?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That
But
that intuition is kicking in. Maybe they don't understand it and don't know how to verbalize it to you, but it's kicking in. So you should, like you said, honor it,
mhm.
you know?
I
And
do
and
want
I
to go back. Go ahead.
no, go ahead, Chong.
I do want to go back to when you said animals know when something's creepy, so do
Mm,
kids. Some of them do, some, not all.
yeah.
Because if a child is used to a toxic parent,
Yeah.
they'll actually be attracted to toxic people.
No, that's true.
I mean, look at how many girls are dating toxic boyfriends. And then
Yeah.
when you look back, I had a therapist do this for me and I loved it. I remember crying and I said, he broke up with me. I don't know what's going on. And my therapist said to me, she said, you said he drinks. Yeah. You said he belittles you in front of other people. Yes. So this is what she did to me. She wanted me to list 4 guys that I dated that I really, really loved, that I thought was love.
Right.
And then she wanted me to write pros and cons of their behavior. Guess what the fifth person was? My father. I didn't realize I was attracted to men that were like my father.
Oh, wow.
My father
Well,
was a drinker, you know.
therapist, gave you a heart because she is a therapist.
Yes.
Yes, and not all therapists do the same thing, you know.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing, and I want to emphasize this for anyone that's going through trauma. Don't just take any therapist. Ask them specific questions. Like me, I am diagnosed with BPD, which is borderline personality dissociation, DID, dissociative identity disorder. So I have multiple personalities. I have a little, I have a warrior, and sometimes she gets on my nerves. She hates all the guys I date or the men I married. You know, she's like, really? You could have done better. And I'm like, shut up. You know, um, I used to have 9 personalities until my therapist helped me integrate all of them except for Jules. Jules is the only one that doesn't want to integrate. And the thing is with DID, it is real. But the sad part is so many films in the past have demonized it and villainized DID.
Hmm.
You know, they call it the evil twin, but these are
Right.
trauma responses, you know?
Right.
And
You're
so
protecting yourself.
exactly, you know, and some of them will have 60, and some of them, you know, one of the things I always tell people, I talked about Michael Jackson. He had the Peter Pan syndrome. Just because he had a little that never grew up, because he never got to be a kid. And that's why kids
Okay.
actually are attracted to adults that have littles. When I would go anywhere, I would have parents that come up to me and says, my daughter normally doesn't like people, but she just ran to you. I'd be at the airport eating my popcorn, and I'll have a little girl. She'll walk up to me and she'll just say hi. And I'll say hi. And I didn't get it at the time. It kind of freaked me out. I was like, why are these kids following me? What's going on here? You know? And so until my therapist says they see you're little. And I was like, my little, you're a little girl in you. They see the hurt little girl that never got to grow up. So
Oh,
the
okay.
little in me, she's 5 years old. And, you know, I'm married now, but every now and then I could feel the little come out because my husband will come in and he's like, all right, you ready to go? And I'll be sitting at the edge of the bed, swinging my feet. And then my husband knows that's the little in me.
Mm. Yeah.
And he'll say, do you want me to put on your shoes? And I go, yes, put on my shoes. You know, he talks to me like I am a little girl. For someone on the outside, they may see that as why is he demeaning her? Why is he talking to her like a little girl?
Right.
But because he understands my alter egos. When we first got married, he had no idea. He
Yeah.
was like, who am I talking to? What's going on here? You know. But the one thing I can say about him, he didn't leave. Most men would be like, I can't do this. I'm leaving, you know. But my husband, he was like, okay, we're going to go through this. We're going to take this, you know, on a daily basis. And I was like, who are you? Are you a real man? You know,
Yeah.
because I was so used to men just leaving me. And so whenever, and I also talk about toxic relationship. I even talk about how women are toxic and how they villainize their diagnosis to make the excuse to be toxic to you. You
Right.
remember the Marilyn Monroe quote, if you can't handle me at my worst, then you sure as hell don't deserve me at my best? Now I tell younger women, do not cling onto that quote. It's toxic. It's a toxic verbiage because basically you're telling the person that you're with they have to put up with your toxicity. No, they don't. You do
Yeah.
not get to use that as an excuse to be toxic. So I want
Yeah.
to
It's
share that.
amazing how many people do use it that way.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm glad that Z also talked about male survivors. I'm actually bringing several male survivors of human trafficking that are now adults onto my film set. And I actually had some of the women that got angry. They said, "You're bringing them on?" Yes, because they're victims too. Well, I don't want to be on. Bye. Bye, Felicia. I'm
Yeah.
not going to stop my movement because someone else is uncomfortable. I'm not going to please everyone. And that's
No.
something that people have to understand. But I'm creating a film. It's called Every 40 Seconds. It's like Girl with a Dragon Tattoo meets Dexter, but it's actually about a female survivor who works alongside the FBI and she helps them take down traffickers. But when she starts seeing that the federal government is protecting their own, that's when Jules, her alter ego, comes out. She starts stalking them and torturing them. And before she calls 911 for them to come, she leaves them naked with all these pictures that they did to children. That way, people don't feel sorry for the predator.
Hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And
That's
all
gonna
my
be a
friends are like, yes.
yeah. That's gonna be an awesome movie. I mean, really. That I can't wait. I
Uh,
really can't.
I'm
It's gonna
yeah, and I get all these producers and studios. They're like, yeah, yeah, we always get all these human trafficking. No, this film is unlike any film you've ever seen because I'll be honest, in my personal opinion, I am sick and tired of the white knight hero effect. No one rescued
yeah.
me. I rescued myself. And there
Yeah.
are survivors that do rescues as well, but we never ever get any accolades. We helped the FBI, we helped the police, but they never said, oh, credit to Felicia,
Yes.
who's a survivor. That never
Yeah.
happens.
Well,
So,
I think we've seen that with, Lissa Yellowbird Chase and a lot of the things she's done with rescuing and even finding people that have been deceased. The cops take all the credit. It's like, she's
yep,
the one with boots on the ground, she's doing the work, and yet you all are patting each other on the back after she's told you, "This is where this person is. This is
yep,
what's happened." And y'all
absolutely.
think you're great. And it's like, no, these are the people that are out there doing the job,
Yep.
you know?
Whenever
And
someone tells me, like, I'm passionate, you're getting paid. I'm not. I
yeah,
still get the 3 o'clock in the morning call. I even have cops still call me and they'll say, Chong, we have another victim. And I'm like, it's 3 o'clock. I've retired. She's 8. All right, where is it? Where
yeah,
was she last seen? Let me go talk to the parents, things like that. My husband's
yeah.
like, you got a call? Yep. My husband's like, all right, bye, Superwoman.
Well, and we're gonna have to have you back because we didn't really get to talk about the native and indigenous trafficking because that's huge and that's a huge part of what we do with our native and indigenous people, especially on Thursday. So I do want to have you come back on a Thursday so we can talk directly about that because you've had experience
Yep.
with
And my
that.
daughter is also part indigenous because my trafficker was also indigenous.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that's something I think we need to delve into. Um, and I
Absolutely.
but very quickly, let's before we finish up, let's talk about our missing people. I have some flyers for you guys.
Yes.
Please stay alert when you're out and about. Put the cell phone away. Start looking at faces because you being aware, you could save a life. Some people are going to leave voluntarily but that doesn't mean they are able to come back home because things happen to people. And also, as we know, human trafficking is true, and those people never have a choice in what happens to them. So if you think something's wrong, you call. Make sure you report it. Don't count on the guys around to do it. We also have a tip line, tips, the number 4, Trial Junkies United at gmail.com if you're too embarrassed to call the cops. This poster is Amy Plotz. She's 19. She goes by Alex. She's been missing since January 3rd. She was at Wabasha Street Bridge up in Minnesota. She's an endangered missing persons, you guys. She was seen leaving her Farmington home during the late night hours on Saturday, January 3rd. She took a ride share to St. Paul and was last seen near the Wabash, Wabasha Street Bridge. She doesn't have a phone or a car. She's been diagnosed with autism, and they said she appears very young for her age. She's only 5 foot tall, 100 pounds, a beautiful young girl with brown eyes, brown hair, last seeing a multicolored knit stocking cap, oversized dark gray jacket, brown zippered sweatshirt, black sweatpants, and black Converse shoes with a flame pattern. Contact the Farmington Police Department, you guys, at 651-280-6700. If you're in another state or something and you see her, you call 911. Get her some help. She should not be out there. Next, we have Elena Savannah Kritzer. She's 16. She's been missing since May 23rd of 2025. May 23rd, 16 years old. She's from, the location was 55 Oguayawa. And gosh, this is in New Mexico, you guys. It's the name of the city is Pojoaque. You know, I can't pronounce things, so we spelled it out. She's from the Caddo Nation tribe. She's 5'2", only weighs 90 pounds, brown eyes, or brown hair, hazel eyes. Her clothing description was a black jacket, a hoodie with blue jeans, black and white shoes, and Elena's whereabouts. We need to find her. So contact the police department at 505-455-2295 or 911, you guys. We now have Fantasia Blue Thunder. She's 17. She's been missing since January 7th from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Contact the Sioux Falls Police at 605-367-7000. She has brown eyes, black hair, 5'2", 140 pounds. Fantasia was last seen wearing a gray sweatshirt, gray sweatpants, and carrying a black Nike backpack. Then we have Rita Laydon. Laydon? She's 14. She's been missing since December 1st from Surprise, Arizona. 5'6", 130 pounds, brown eyes, and brown hair. Contact Surprise Police Department at 623-222-4000 or the National Center for Missing Exploited Children at 1-800-843-5678. She does have a NIC number of Amazon Michael 9787-28454 and another NCMEC number of 207-0272. Let's get her found. And our last one is Vanessa Ortez. Now she's 39. She's been missing since November 27th from Albuquerque, New Mexico. She has brown eyes. She wears glasses, has brown hair. She's 5'7" and weighs 125 pounds. She has a tattoo of a frog sitting on mushrooms on her lower back. If you have any information, contact Albuquerque Police at 505-242-2677 or contact the local police. Remember, Doc will put these in our link tree, or he's got a whole
Yep.
sheet that he
Yeah,
started
it's
for us.
all all the pertinent information will be there. The mods have been doing a wonderful job of putting that in the chat. And I just want to let everybody know that all of our pertinent information, if it has anything to do with uh, uh, Justice After Dark, it'll be there.
Yeah. So if you see something, you guys, like OnlyFans said, say something. And Chong, our listeners, they're warriors. They show up, they listen, and they want to help. So, what can everyday people do to combat trafficking and protect the vulnerable children in our communities?
First thing I want to share with you, with election coming up, whether it's local, your state, your county, start holding representatives accountable. If you go to your city council and they're having a rally, talk to them, go to those rallies, ask them questions. What are you doing about human trafficking? How are you helping this? How are you stopping this? How are you making sure that the cops are on top of this? And if they say, you know what, thank you for asking that question, Z, we'll get back to you in 6 months, then hold him accountable in 6 months. Video
Right.
record what he said at the podium when he said, thank you, Z, for asking that. That's a great question because we care about children. Well, when he goes up for election for the next year and he hasn't done anything, circulate that video. Remember last year when Mayor so and so said he was going to do something and then show all your evidence? You called him 28 times in 1 month. He hasn't answered. Or within the 3 months, he hasn't answered. His office hasn't answered. No one has answered. You even went to the office to see and ask him, hey, remember me? I was at the rally. I was the one that helped you get your vote because you said you were going to stop human trafficking and you haven't. What's going on here? Because what happens is when people talk about, well, I want to make sure the current administration is being impeached, but nothing's happening, it has to start on your local level. Because if you're not holding any representative or any elected official accountable on our local level, then that's how the national level get away with it.
And
That's the
if
first thing.
and if someone suspects trafficking or knows something, what should they do? Where should they turn to?
I would say go to your local police and ask
Okay.
for sex crimes division, not vice. Those are two different things.
Okay.
Look into sexual exploitation division. Don't just call any random cop. I will be honest, the hotline for human trafficking sucks. They make you
Okay.
wait 30 minutes. If a victim calls and they say you have to be put on hold, that's ridiculous.
Right.
If, you know, um, I also have my number. It's 213 986 7140.
Okay.
213-986-7140. Send me a text and say, I believe this person has been trafficked. Take a picture of their license plate, be detailed as possible. I also created an app for vulnerable people to also report a missing person or trafficking suspicion. This app does not go to any law enforcement. It goes to me, so that way vulnerable people who are afraid of law enforcement or who's afraid of corruption, it'll be filtered through me and two other advocates. And we have them
Okay.
both in English and in Spanish.
Okay.
Okay, good.
So I'll be
Awesome.
sharing that
Okay.
link with you guys so you
Yeah,
can put it up.
yeah. So we can put it in our
Yeah,
description. Yep.
that would be awesome. And also next time Chong comes on, we're going to touch on some other trafficking because tonight we've mostly dealt with sex trafficking, but there is a lot. There's labor trafficking, there's organ trafficking. These things are real, you guys.
And there's
They're not.
embryo trafficking.
Yeah.
And that was a new one when you mentioned that tonight when we were talking beforehand. So we're going to talk about that one too. But before we close, Chung, I want to ask you this. What keeps you going after everything you've survived and all the darkness that you've confront every single day in your advocacy work? What's your source of strength?
My film, because I know that once my film is out, I know all the predators that hurt me, they will see they didn't break me. One of the
Yeah.
things my son father said to me, he passed away, Carlos, but one of the things he said to me years ago, he said, the best revenge to your oppressors is to become the success that they never imagined you would be. It sounds cliche, but
Beautiful.
it's so, so true.
Hmm.
Because when
That
you
is beautiful.
succeed, you basically tell them, you don't have power over me. You didn't break me. I broke you.
Oh, Chong, thank you so much. Um, and we do. We want to have you back soon because we have
Yes.
a lot of topics to talk about. Any time
Did
that you have
anyone have any questions?
anybody any questions, well, I finished asking if you ever have any flyers you want put out. Our shows are Thursday night and Sunday. Send them to
Okay,
me in an email. We'll get them put out
perfect.
there. Any way we can help. If anybody in your realm needs a platform, we're here. Um,
Absolutely.
like I
And
said,
if somebody
Thursdays.
wants me to come out and speak, I will not charge. But my flight and my stay is non negotiable. I'd be happy to
Right,
stay at someone's house because I hate hotels. Um, if you want me to come and speak at your community, your church, I will not charge anything. I will bring my book so I can sell, so I can make some money. Because every
right,
book that I sell, and all the proceeds, that goes back to survivors I help or victims that I rescue. So I
right.
want you to know that.
Well, and also send me is your book in the link tree?
Mhm. It's in the
Okay,
shop. If you click on shop, you'll see the link.
okay, we'll make sure that we
Okay.
put that in the information. Um, are rich, powerful men involved in the yeah,
Oh
Julius
yeah.
Caesar. Rich and powerful men are actually the ones that do a lot of the navigating of this trafficking. Um, they're the ones that they traffic these girls too. I mean, that's why do you
And
think the
then,
Epstein case is the reason the Epstein case caught attention is because it was the rich and the powerful, you
yep,
know? It wasn't Bob down at the corner that's been trafficking the local kids.
No.
This was the very powerful men. I mean, King Charles actually pretty much kicked his brother out of the family and took all of his titles,
yep.
you know, and that
Prince
that was
Andrew.
awesome.
Yeah. Bottom
Yep,
line is, how do you think they became the 1%? You know,
Yeah,
yep.
for many of them anyway. You know.
because they a lot of them don't think the rules apply to them.
Nope.
See, they're
Yep.
special, and so
And
they think that go ahead, Chong.
I do want to touch on this real quick because I actually had someone ask me, can children of rich families also be trafficked? Yes. And
Yeah,
here's the sad part, a lot of the families that do traffic their own, they'll even put up a sign saying, my missing child, to bring all the accolades, all the funding. Well, at the same time, they know for a fact their child's missing on their own demise, but they'll
yeah,
play the hero,
Yeah.
like
yeah,
John Benet Ramsey, all of them. Think about those kids, you know.
yeah,
So
exactly.
Agreed.
And so it's and you guys, our email is trialjunkiesunited.com or gmail.com. Send some questions before we have Chong on next time. We'll make sure that we cover them. But I know we've kind of ran late tonight, but this was an important topic. And this month, because it is Traffic Awareness Month, we just feel like we need to keep pushing it forward. Chong, thank you so much for your courage and your resilience and turning your pain into purpose. You are a true warrior, and we're honored to amplify your voice tonight. And we're going to put your LinkedIn information out there. But I want you guys all to remember every killer and every trafficker depends on your silence.
yep,
So don't give it to them. Do not give it to them. If you know something, speak up because it wasn't a mannequin. It's never a mannequin, you guys. Remember, someone knows something. Someone always does. Silence, our motto, silence is betrayal. Hashtag silence is betrayal. We put it everywhere. If you
yep.
have a story that you want told, let us know. We're here. And until next time, you guys, Please stay informed, stay compassionate, keep seeking the truth, keep demanding justice. Never stop speaking up. Let your voices be heard. Say goodnight, Doc.
Night, Doc.
Good night, Doc.
We love you all. And remember, the killers and the traffickers don't stop, or the ones that prey on vulnerable people. So neither do we. We're going to keep speaking. And until next time, keep fighting for justice. And we'll see you Thursday night. And we love you all for being here. Ciao. Okay.
They whisper about a dead man's secret while the living still can't speak. Flight logs and redacted papers, but it's justice we seek. Epstein preyed on girls and teens, but boys and women in trafficking's name. Every headline feeds the rumors while the trafficking continues. Everyone wants answers but can't handle what is true. The mighty protect their brothers while the victims bleed for you. Release the files, no more silence. Stop protecting those in power. They're trafficking our children every single day, every hour. Every secret needs your silence. Every predator counts on shame. Release the files, release the names. Silence is betrayal, say the name. Epstein's name lit up the nation. Finally, they're paying attention, but there are millions in the shadows that never get a mention. Not just islands in the elite, it's happening on every street while we argue about conspiracies. Children vanish in plain sight, you see. Everyone wants answers but won't look at what's around. The system shields the predators while innocence is drowned. Release the files, no more silence. Stop protecting those in power. They're trafficking our children every single day, every hour. Every secret needs your silence. Every predator counts on shame. Release the files, release the names. Silence is betrayal, say their name. We can't let this rest. We can't look away. Use this moment. Seize this day. Prevent the next one from falling prey. Protect the victims and make abusers pay. The files won't say them all, it's true. But awareness starts with you and me. See the signs, say the names, break the cycle and the games. Really